Welcome in. It's the second cut. It's the 3M Open. It's the mega preview pod. It's storylines. It's the bets. It's everything that you can possibly think of. And our very own M is here. The 4M, Mark Immelman. Hello, Mark.
Jeez, wasn't expecting that. Hello, how are you?
How's your Tuesday going so far?
Tuesday's going great. I actually did my packed early for my 3M trip on Friday morning. Did a little clean out in the refinery and the garage. The refinery is where I give a few golf lessons in the net. So was productive today.
Okay, very productive. I love a good productive day around the house. Greg DuCharme is here. Greg, your Tuesday can be described in what adjective?
Well, I don't know how to describe it. Great. It's excellent. Very enjoyable. I'm still recovering and coming down from the greatness we've been witnessing for 3 years or more. And there was a final stamp put on it on Sunday that I don't believe is a final stamp at all. It just kind of Scotty just asserted himself as a all-time great, which we know he was trending in that direction, but I just can't wait to see where the ceiling goes. And so I've still been thinking about that all the while, enjoying getting ready for the 3M Open. So kind of two birds.
Hey, Greg, I kind of felt like you because I did a little post. I don't often do a podcast by myself on the Mark show, but I did a little post-game kind of rap and lessons you can learn. Did you realize that Scotty Scheffler, in all 4 rounds, I saw this information from Clipped, at the Open Championship, got the ball up and down 75% or more of the time, all 4 rounds, 75 3 times, so 3 out of 4, let's say, and then 80-something% the other day. I mean, how's that for an up and down rate around those greens there?
Not bad. I'll tell you that.
Please, gosh.
Yeah, did it from a variety of positions with a variety of shots as well. He's got all the shots. Is there any shot he doesn't have?
Not maybe a snap hook.
Not very good at the top shot or the duff.
Yeah, he doesn't have that. But
can't shank it like I do, but everything else he can do pretty well, it seems.
I mean, how close is he to a top 10 player of all time?
I think it's a little ways from there. Let's slow our roll a little bit.
So this is where I think I always get out over my skis in these conversations because I always, for the most part, give a lot of credit to the best in the modern era, with the idea that athletes are getting bigger, faster, stronger, smarter. The game is getting more optimized. This could go for a variety of sports. This could go for a variety of topics. This could go for chess. This could go for shoots and ladders. This could go for anything, right? Is that as something continues to exist, it gets optimized. So in theory, the best Scrabble player right now is probably the best to ever do it. Now in golf and in sport, that gets a lot more complicated because the modern era here for us still includes Tiger Woods, obviously. But I tend to lean, Greg, like closer to these guys are the best to ever do it much more than I think others do.
Okay. Before I rant, I've got something that I got from ShotLink that I want to read.
Okay.
Yeah. And while I read this, I want you to consider the top 10 of all time. How are they measured? On what metric are they measured? It's not strokes gained. Sorry, boys.
No, I completely agree.
So get this. This is from ShotLink. It was I don't know if you got this, Rick. It was emailed to me.
Okay.
In his last 76 starts, Scheffler has won 17 times compared to no wins in his first 70 tour starts. His 17 wins dating back to the 22 WM Phoenix Open. Remember, we were there. Mm-hmm. And someone picked him in one and done that week.
Oh, you remember that, don't you? Yeah.
is the most by 8 over any player. So he's won by more than 8 over any player in the PGA Tour. Since his victory, Scheffler has gained 567 strokes against the field, most by 183 strokes in this time frame. This season, Scheffler has notched 16 straight top 25s to start the 25 campaign, the third most such finishes to start a season in the last 30 years. He ranks first, 24th, 21st in strokes gained stats this season and is on pace to be the 5th player to rank inside the top 25 in each of the 4 main strokes gained categories in one single season. If he finishes the season leading in strokes gained total, he will join Tiger Woods as the only players to lead the tour in this category in the ShotLink era in at least 3 consecutive seasons. And then it goes on. He leads the tour in actual scoring average, 68 and a third. And if he remains number 1, which he will, because he's not going to play the next 2 events, and then he'll dust everyone. By the end of the season, he'll join Woods, 99 through 2002. Remember, what was the best Tiger Woods season everyone says by out measure? What year
2000.
was it? 2000. Okay. As the only 2 players to lead in this category 3 or more consecutive seasons. In 25, Scheffler has 35.34% bounce back. That is insane. Bouncing back a third of the time with birdie after a mistake. On track for one of the best single season performances on the tour in the last 40 years. In 2000, Tiger Woods bounced back 36.5% of the time. I could go on, but I'll stop there. Now, to the all-timers, they're measured by major championships. So as far as I'm concerned, Rory is still above Scotty on that list. And so it's Faldo, and so is Seve, and so all those guys.
Okay, so hold on a second. So this is where, okay, Mark. So John Henry Taylor has 5 major championships. Is Scotty Scheffler better than John Henry Taylor?
Hell no.
So we're just going a hard and fast rule here on major championships.
No, it's J.H. Taylor. The fact that you're using John Henry tells me you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm looking at Wikipedia. The man died in like 1920. Okay, he won his first major championship in 1894. Scotty would whoop him.
He beat Tom Morris at the time, and Tom Morris was like twice Scotty Scheffler at that time.
Yeah, and Scotty Scheffler would beat young or old Tom Morris by about 100 shots right now.
You sinning right now. You better stop.
But you get the so to answer Greg's question then, for Mark, Greg, it's to get inside the top 10. You said how far away is he from being a top 10 player? He is, by Mark's account, 3 major championships away.
Pretty close. So he's got to get to 7.
What's Phil got? Phil's got
6.
6. Ernie has how many? 5.
4.
4. Okay. Faldo's got 6.
Yeah.
What's Seve got?
Seve has 5.
Okay. Yeah, no, that look, it's imminent.
Yeah.
I'm
actually saying it's imminent.
He's
so
a year away.
Scotty Scheffler is imminently a top 10 player in the world, or a top 10 player ever.
And the guy who could give what's so cool is he gives less of a stuff about the stuff than anyone else. You know, if I'm lining up a potential all-time top 10 player in the world, I am like a cat on a hot tin roof. Scotty's like, whatever, I'll go and work on my pitching and putting.
Yeah. It's crazy. I was looking too. This is something I've been pondering. Like, have we seen the best of Scotty? And it's very easy to say yes, because these last 2 seasons have been just remarkable, and some of the comparable with the best seasons ever. It's in that conversation at least. But at the same time, when you start to look at his win rates and how they've improved with changes, like I find it really cool. There are marks where the win rate starts to go up dramatically. And it's things like switching to the mallet, things like switching to the claw. And I can't wait to see if those last.
Ted Scott.
Switching to Ted Scott. That's a great one. Everything that he's done is with switching to Ted Scott.
Yeah. Has he ever made a bad decision? He's like 4 for 4 on big decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge.
Okay. It's big decisions. There was a guy who had 5 majors who made a big decision to head off to live. Yeah. Right now, I don't think the comparison between Brooks Koepka and Scotty is even the apples and oranges to me, because Scotty is twice the player Brooks was. Brooks just showed up at the right time. Now, all I'm doing is I'm talking myself out of my major argument.
Yes, you are.
Mm.
You've got to stay strict to the major argument, or else I'm going to be here claiming that Scotty Scheffler is better than Byron Nelson soon. So you got to stick to this, Mark.
Well, again, I read those numbers, which are silly that compared to Tiger Woods, and what Tiger Woods is best /1A, 1B of all time. Yeah,
fair.
No argument there.
Okay. Again, like I said the other night, let's be careful. Let's not get in front of our skis, over our skis, like you say. Let's just be where we are, and let's do like Scotty, stay present.
He's the best at staying present. It's a lot harder for us mortals, unlike Scotty Scheffler, who can live in the moment. A little bit of news before we get to the 3M Open here, gents. We have a 2031 Ryder Cup host, and we're going back to Spain. This is Camaral Golf Resort. If that sounds familiar, it probably shouldn't, because this used to be called PGA Catalunya, and it's hosted Spanish Opens. But Greg, this is now going to be the second trip to Spain. In 1997, they went to Valderrama,
which they used to go to quite a bit, I believe. Maybe I'm thinking of the Belfry.
Yes, you are.
Yes,
they've had a Ryder Cup at Valderrama.
Only yes.
They have,
the one and only Spanish Ryder Cup was at Valderrama.
They had a bunch at the Belfry.
European captain.
Do you want me to answer that, or are you asking Greg? I know the answer.
Okay, Greg.
Was it Seve?
It was Seve.
Yeah. So very interesting. It looks like a cool venue. I was clicking through some pictures of it. It looks to have all the elements that, say, a Le Golf National had. A lot of water around the greens, some dramatic looking approach shots into greens. It's a tree line golf course, which I like. Very cool looking. So looks unique, looks pretty cool. Looks like a Ryder Cup. It looks like a traditional Ryder Cup, European Ryder Cup venue. I'm excited about it. Obviously, a long way off. We got to go to Bethpage Black. We got to go to Dare Manor in Ireland, and one more trip to the U.S. I'm not sure where that one is, although I know it's out. And then over to Spain. So pretty cool lineup we have here.
So I'm putting this out there. Okay. He's going to start playing nice, and he's going to be nice to the DP World Tour. You're laughing. And Sergio Garcia is going to be the European captain for this go around.
So, Mark, I'm glad you said that, because I know you don't look at the outlines, which is fine. But I'm glad that I had this in here, and I'm glad that's the path that you went down. 6 years from now feels like an eternity. And I think that, imagine, okay, what was the game of what was professional golf like in 2019? It has changed drastically, and it will change drastically again in 2031. So I'm with you, Mark. I think that there will naturally be this mending process, whether it's just via Sergio and the powers that be or the tours. And it would seem very likely that Sergio would be the captain there.
Well, it begs the question then, if we're doing this, who got really hard done by was Henrik Stenson. It turned out great for Luke Donald, who became an international hero. Mm-hmm. But Stenson, remember, he left for Live, and it turned very abrasive between him and the DP World Tour. And he lost the captaincy because of it.
I'm interested as well. A lot has happened since then already in the world of golf. There seems to have been a growing acceptance of Live. The major championships have given them a spot. I know they applied for official world golf ranking points again. I don't know if they'll get that. If they get official world golf ranking points, I think that is the signal of full acceptance in the world of golf. And at that point, I believe Sergio Garcia will definitely be a viable candidate. If they don't, then in that case, I think the turmoil could continue. But that's a really big deal for not only for Live, but also, just the general acceptance of Live in the world of golf.
Outside of Sergio, and I guess this is two parts, Mark. I don't know how likely it is wait, let me rephrase this. It seems custom that, well, maybe that's not true. I'm going back on this now. I'm thinking about this in real time. Like, does it have to be a Spaniard, right? Like, how important is it that it's a Spaniard, right? Luke Donald is not Italian. Like, how important is it that it is a Spaniard? Because if it's not Sergio, who could it be? But if it's not important that it's a Spaniard, it could be anybody.
No, it doesn't have to be a Spaniard, but we're sort of starting to see things going that way now that you don't have a captain that lasts for an extensive tenure, like a Tony Jacklin, for argument's sake, or Bernard Gallagher. Because you see on the President's Cup, it's sort of going the way of the international captain is the guy who's from the country, unless it's in the United States. Like we have Jeff Ogilvy as the international captain for Australia. And there's every likelihood that down the track in South America somewhere it'll be Camilo Villegas. And then if we go back to Korea, it's going to be KJ Choi or something like that. And we saw Mike Weir in Canada. So I think it just makes sense because Sergio is a legend of the game. You know, I don't think global people realize what a big deal he was in Europe and especially in Spain. You know, coming up right after Seve and Jose Maria, who were just legendary golfers. And then Garcia came along and, I mean, he was the guy that nearly took down Tiger when he was a teenager at Medina in the PGA Championship. Sergio is legit. You know, he maybe, you know, one or two controversial things throughout his career, which maybe tarnished the luster a little bit. But in Spain, he's still a national icon. And I think it would make a lot of sense.
You know what would make the most sense for me?
Rafael Nadal, captain.
Oh, that would be sick.
Yeah.
What makes the most sense to me would be Luke Donald. It would be having Luke Donald at Bethpage and Adair Manor and back in the U.S. and then in Spain again and keeping him on for 10 years, especially if they continue to have success. That would make the most sense to me from a competitive standpoint. You know, the Ryder Cup doesn't really roll that way. It's more of a ceremonial position, so I don't think that's going to happen. But that would make more sense to me than Sergio because you have a track record. You know, and unless they start losing, unless they lose in Ireland in a couple years, it'd be hard for me to move away if winning is the goal. And I really mean that because you don't know if it is the goal or not.
Well, look, the thing is too that the captaincy is not a ceremonial thing. It honestly is a 2-year job. And for Donald now, that's in his mid-40s or so, you know, if you start looking 6-8 years down the way, he's like, gosh, I don't know if I still want to be doing this sort of stuff. You know,
that's very possible.
And you got an embarrassment of riches over there because, you know, Justin Rose has to get a run. Again, Lee Westwood, if he hadn't buggered off, he was a potential Ryder Cup captain. There's Darren Clark, who hasn't gotten a go. There's a lot of European legends that are lining up for a rush at this thing because they've realized now that the captaincy is actually, it's a thrill and it's one of those things to add to the resume if you can manage to pull off a win.
Yeah, big time. Especially if you can get it done on foreign soil, which is what Luke Donald's going to try to do around Bethpage later this year. Greg, do you want to take a crack at that 2029 U.S. back in the United States? It is out. You want to take a crack at where we're going?
Is it Kiowa?
Nope, not Kiowa.
I haven't looked at this in a while.
2029 is going
Frisco,
to
Texas.
No, Hazeltine. 2033 Olympic Club, San Francisco.
Gosh.
2037. This is as far out as the U.S. venues are. 2037 is Congressional.
Wow, that'll be a cool one to go to. That's a great golf course. You talk about national pride there. That'd be fun. Wow, I'd like to go to that one.
Yeah, that'll be cool. The 2035 European venue is not out yet. So the U.S. has an extra one announced.
Okay,
already.
So Hazeltine next. Again, we were there in 2016.
I was there for that one, and that one was one-sided.
Yeah.
Gosh, the United States team was good then.
17-11, 2016. Yeah,
that's when Reed and Rory had the dust up there on number 8 green. Well, not the dust up.
That's right.
Where they were telling each other to shush.
Yes,
cool
right.
course.
Yeah.
That's right. Very, very cool. Speaking of other news, this one very close to you, Mark. Ian Baker-Finch announced his retirement from
Yeah.
CBS Sports. 30 years in broadcasting, 19 at CBS Sports. We could not have this podcast without getting your thoughts on this.
I'm sort of happy, sad. Finchy is just such a great human being. He is Hall of Fame in life. He is the nicest guy. I'm lucky to call him a friend. He's a mentor. He's always kind of the drumbeat of our show. And what was sad for me was, we all kind of social media fodder at times. And too often I feel like he got the brunt of some angry folks on social. And it gets to people, Now, I'm not saying it got to him, but, some folks pay attention. And I'm happy for him. He's going to go. He actually spoke to me earlier this season about this potentially happening. And he's got now grandkids, and he loves playing golf. And his wife, Jenny, they're going to just kind of, travel between Australia and the United States. So good for him, but he'll be missed, because I think without Ian Baker-Finch on the shows next year, you will notice a difference in the broadcast. That's all I'm going to say. So for all the haters out there, you're going to notice a difference. You're going to see how good he was when he is not there. That's all I'm saying.
The 1991 Open champion, Greg, and this is, I feel like a lot of times when you get the retirement announcements, you get the retirement tour, right? It's like a year long, 5 years long. Everybody's trying to say, Jim Nantz is going to go to X major, right? Just decades out. This is quick. This is the 3M. He's going to work the 3M. He's going to work the Wyndham, and that's it. So this is not the retirement tour that sometimes we get.
2 weeks left. You had
2 weeks notice.
Yeah. He put his 2 weeks in, I guess. You had your Masters, your last Masters. And, it's very much like Ian Baker-Finch to do it this way, because none of these events leading on that would be on a retirement tour were about him. I'm sure that he would want it that way. That's probably why it's happening that way as well. So I totally agree with Mark. I think he was fantastic, whether he was in the booth or in one of the towers, wherever he was positioned, he always did a great job. And it was great to have a stable, secure, knowledgeable voice every CBS broadcast. I thought he said some really smart things. I thought he said some insightful things constantly throughout golf broadcasts, and he never forced anything. He wasn't an over talker, which is very much appreciated in today's landscape. So he will certainly be missed. Won the Open Championship the year I was born. It was actually the first major I was alive for.
Wow.
Ian Baker-Finch was the winner. So very cool.
Okay, now you're making me feel old, and I want to share something about that. About the 2 weeks, he was never going to make it about him. It just speaks to his manner. That's who he is. It's always about the event and not him. He's the most unassuming major champion I've ever seen. I mean, to this day, when we went and played golf and stuff, I'd talk to him about that guy in 91 with a black Daiwa hat on and the dark hair and the pink shirt, who went out in 29 at Birkdale and flushed. I mean, absolutely made everything and grabbed that event, won it by 3. And then I asked him to sort of relive the thing. And it's almost like he would talk about it as if he wasn't worthy of the claret jug. And then I took a picture 2 weeks ago. It's 2 weeks ago now, when we were in Scotland. On Sunday morning, we were invited to brunch at Muirfield. Okay. And so we go in there, and Muirfield is beautiful, and it's a beautiful day. And if you look at the clubhouse, there's like a veranda area that's grassed, and you can see the first tee, and you see the 18th green, and you see 10, and you see number 9 over here, and it just opens up over the Firth of Forth, and you could see forever. And here's the Open champion. There's a picture of him on the wall inside the clubhouse, right? And he's standing there with his phone, taking a picture of the landscape. And I took a picture of him taking the landscape, because this is an Open champion, one of the great Open champions, just appreciating this links venue on a beautiful day. And to me, it was just the perfect image of who this man is. Loves golf, loves links golf, loves everything about it. And, he'll be missed. That's for certain.
Well, certainly not going to top that. So a perfect way to put a bow on Ian Baker-Finch. 2 more weeks in the booth and then retiring after 30 years as a broadcaster. And as mentioned, 19 of them at CBS Sports. We will turn our attention, gentlemen, to this week's 3M Open. Back from the Open Championship, we're headed to Blaine, Minnesota, and there is work to be done because the common refrain that you're going to hear over the course of the next 2 weeks is getting yourself into position, not only for the Tour Championship, that's 30, not only all the Siggies and all the good stuff, that's 50, the playoffs, that's 70, but making sure you keep your card. And there are a lot of guys hovering around a lot of important marks here, Greg. I think Mina's got a screen grab of FedEx Cup standings, 71 to 90, I believe it is, that are headed into this event. And there are some notable names on the outside looking in.
Yes, some very notable names. You think about, one, Emiliano Grillo, who's been playing some better golf lately. You have Chris Kirk, who won the Century last year. Very, very talented player. Matt McCarty won last fall. Carl Phillips has won on the PGA Tour. Then you have Adam Scott. You got Tom Kim down there. Of course, Max Homa is also down there as well at 102nd. So we're not even down far enough for that.
It's not even on the graphic.
Keith Mitchell on this graphic leads the PGA Tour in first round scoring average, ahead of Scotty Scheffler, averaging 67 in the first round and change, and is on the outside looking in. Getting into the playoffs has become extremely competitive, and I know that these next 2 weeks will be extremely competitive as well.
Yeah, it will be. And Mina, what's that other graphic that we have? Is that the 50 or is it the 100? Okay, it is the 50. So these are guys that are hovering right around that 50 mark, or that 50 mark is what I was going to say. Jake Knapp firmly in the middle of that. He is in 55th. You've got Ricky Fowler, who's entering the week in the 60s. The shortening of the fields has created a situation where this is probably more competitive than we've seen in recent years.
Yeah, and it's cool too, because 50, if you're in 50, then you're in all the signature events and such. And you mentioned Jake Knapp. I mean, Clark, you mentioned. There's Max Grazeman, who's been close to this event before. Stephen Yeager and Aaron Rye. So some really big names. And you get the sense of urgency when you're out there on tour, because for certain players, they could sort of have an average season and get in the playoffs, and then you just got to find some game at the right time. But this just adds importance to, events like the 3M and like Wyndham and stuff, which usually this time of the year, people start ducking a little bit to save themselves for the playoffs. So all in all, I think it's been a pretty good deal for the whole thing, for events, for players, and for competition. So yeah, you're going to see some big time casualties, but it's just the nature of the game right now.
TPC Twin Cities, Gregors, what are we thinking about for this golf course? What can we expect? What are we looking forward to seeing this week?
Well, this is a cool venue in a couple of ways. One, you see plenty of birdies out here. Winning scores approach 20 under. They'll get into that neighborhood. I have them all written down. In fact, it's been over 20 under 2 out of the 6 years. It's the 7th time we've been here. They've all been 15 under or lower. So there are plenty of birdies to be made. But what's really cool is there's doubles or other to be made too. There's water on 15 of 18 holes. And I was looking at the total amount of doubles and others made at this event over the last couple seasons. 2024, there were 211 doubles or others for the field. The same season, 2024, there were 212 doubles or others at TPC Sawgrass. So you know how penal a golf course like TPC Sawgrass is. It's not dissimilar what we see here at the 3M Open. Now, Sawgrass is a harder golf course all in all. This one allows you to score a little. You can make more birdies at this venue, but there is plenty of danger lurking and plenty of volatility to be had.
Mark, it is not uncommon for us on the West Coast to wake up and see that some golfer has already hit 3 balls in the water and he is 6 over and he is thinking about how much longer do I need to play before I could get out of here. That's what Greg is alluding to. There's just a lot of trouble.
It kind of is, but the golf course comes at you. It flows nicely. Like 1 is just a gentle opener. 2 is a good par 4 and 3 is a good par 4. And then there's a par 3 and then a reachable 5. And then it gets a little easy for a while. And 9 is a mean par 4 with water. Really hard par 4. And then 14 through 18 is a good finish. And you talk about numbers made there. Maybe it was last year. They all kind of blur. But I remember JT Poston driving it down the right-hand side, and he was firmly in second. And I don't think he had a shot to win. If it was 2 years ago, maybe. And he's in there with a ball 3, 4, 5 inches below his feet, making practice swings with a fairway medal. And they come to me. I'm like, I just don't see the need for this shot because he's locked up second. He doesn't need to make birdie. He just mustn't make a mistake. So he hits this thing a bit thin in the water. And then I think the next one he hit in the water and came out there with 9 or something silly like that, if my memory serves me. Yeah. So it happens fast because it's not like it's a lot of water on the holes where there are water holes, but the water is very strategically placed. And certain holes, you can't dodge it. Like the tee shot on 14 and the tee shot on 18. You just got to get up there and hit a good tee shot. And so as a result, yeah, you can make some numbers there pretty fast. But on the flip side, if you are hitting the ball well, with the quality of the greens and the fact that they're receptive right now, because I hear they've had some rain around the place there, you can get busy if you're hitting the ball solidly.
I love it. It is a place where you can, separate, and there's multiple shot swings to be had out there. We're going to look at the betting board. We're going to look at the grid. But gentlemen, I do have a big announcement, and I probably should have done this at the beginning of the show. Admittedly, I got excited and I forgot, but it is on my outline here because we have our very first ever. This is a birthday shout out. I don't know if we do these moving forward, but we're going to do it right now because I got a note from Rob. And Rob told me that his wife, Melissa, is a huge fan of the Second Cut. And she is turning, should I say it, Mark? Should I say how old she's turning?
Don't say it. 29.
29 again. She's
Congratulations.
29 again.
All right, Melissa.
On July 24th. And I said, Rob, well, that's a Thursday show. You know, it's going to be Thursday at the 3M. I'll tell you what, we'll do it. We'll do it on the Tuesday pod to make sure it gets the most run. So happy birthday, Melissa.
Yeah,
you're 29
Melissa,
again.
yeah.
Thank you for all the support. Whoop, whoop.
Yes. Happy birthday. You did it. Amazing accomplishment. And thank you for the support.
Very
29 is the best year of your life. Have fun.
Yes, even if you've done it 11 times or so, it's still the best of your life. Congratulations, Melissa. Thanks, Rob, for sending in the note. Now, Mina is going to rock us over to the grid. And if you have ever seen this before, you know what you're looking at. There it is, the matchups, the finishing positions, and 2 separate winning outrights for this week. We found a variety of names. This looks like a proper 3M open field. Let's start in the matchup department. And Mark, tell me what you found.
Guy played well last week. In fact, 54-hole leader Rico Hoey, who's been sneaky good this year. And Rick, I'll be honest with you, when you dropped this name a couple seasons ago, I was like, who? And then it was Houston. I was on the call for PGA Tour Live, and he was in a feature group. And I was very impressed the way he played. He was wearing this cool hats. The baseball hat was, I think, the Space Cowboys from Houston or whatever the minor league team was there.
Nice.
And I played well last week. And I just think with the confidence he's playing with right now, I'm picking him over Matt Wallace. Now, this is no indictment on Matt, but just Rico's playing very well. So with all the games I saw, there was nothing that jumped out. But this one of the bunch was probably the best of the bad bunch for me.
Well, that makes me very happy, Mark, because he's going to make an appearance on my grid in just a little bit. He's coming off a T8 at the Barracuda Championship is Rico Hoey. I want to pick on Wyndham. Clark, and I've gone with Akshay Bhatia at plus 105. Wyndham has played he has not played 4 good rounds. He's played 2 or 3 great ones. He is definitely susceptible to putting up a big number. He is definitely susceptible to finding the water once or twice or maybe even thrice around TPC Twin Cities. I'm rolling with Akshay here with a little bit of the plus money. Greg, your matchup, please.
Yes, I like Mark, wasn't thrilled with there was none in the selection that really jumped to me. It's kind of like, ooh, I don't really want to touch that one. Ooh, I don't really want to touch that one. That one is a little risky. And so I took a very risky one. But I wanted to get Sam Burns on my card. So I took Sam Burns over Maverick McNeely at -120. This is the highest priced player in the DraftKings pool against the second highest priced player in the DraftKings pool. Sam Burns, I think, is a better player at this point in their career, but he did not play very well in Scotland. I think he returns, and I think you start to see that putter get hot again. I know Maverick McNeely can putt too, but I love the way that Sam Burns has been driving the ball, even in Scotland. I think he's got a little more control. I wanted to get him on the card. So I got Burns over McNeely -120.
And get him on the card indeed.
May I say something?
I knew you wanted to jump in there. You had that look in your eye. I saw it.
No, well, I was thinking for a bit because I'm conflicted. So I'm looking for your insights here because I respect you two guys. In the era of now Ryder Cup opining and stuff, I was so high on Burns a season or so ago, maybe longer. I'm just, the verdict's out for me right now, and I don't know what it is. It's just there's something amiss. He still putts great. But it's just like there's something missing, and I cannot put my finger on it. So help me, please, Greg.
Well, I don't know what's missing either, which is kind of strange.
Well, I mean, do you think there's something missing, or am I out of bounds here?
I could see where you're coming from, right? Because he's not in. He had a nice Canadian Open. He should have won there. He had a really nice U.S. Open. Things got out of hand a little late on Sunday for him. Other than that, you haven't seen a whole lot of him up on leaderboards, and he has the talent to be up on leaderboards, right? So I feel like Sam Burns should be contending week in and week out. I think at times he's gotten a little inaccurate with the driver. You talk about it often with him, Mark, that he can blow it to the right occasionally.
Just hits it so hard all the time, man. Gee,
yeah, he hits it hard. He hits it hard, and his iron play suffers. But over the past couple of weeks, I've seen the ability with his ball striking to really surface, like the Canadian Open, like the U.S. Open. And I think his driver has been much better over the last 6 weeks or so. And his short game kind of let him down in Scotland. I give him a pass on that. It's just such a different style. And I think that he's in a little bit of he fits the mold of the Tony Finau, the Johnny Vegas, the Cameron Champ, and the Matt Wolff as far as clubhead speed. He just also leads the tour in strokes gained putting. Okay. So, that's why I wanted to get him on the card.
Gotcha.
3 trips around TPC Twin Cities for Sam Burns. It's a T7 in 2019, a T32 in 2020, and then last year, his most recent, of course, T12. Finishing positions. Find me a finishing position, please, Mark.
Jacob Bridgman, top 40 plus 105.
Wow,
Jacob Bridgman is a good player. He is a really good player. He's one of those guys that's vying for top 70. Let me double check here. No, I lie. Bridgman is 32nd, so we got no worries. He's aiming for Eastlake, so a few extra points in the account would do him no harm. But just, since I've seen his name pop up, I've paid attention at events, and I like everything about him. He's also sneaky long, so good venue for him here.
Yeah, so 4 straight cuts made, highlighted by the T5 at the John Deere. He's got a lot of upside. He finished 4th at the Truist. He finished 3rd at the Valspar. Finished runner-up at the Cognizant. So he's found himself close to the top of the leaderboard a handful of times here in 2025, also helping with those FedEx Cup point positioning that Mark was alluding to. I went even farther down the board to Paul Peterson. Top 40 plus 210. This dude is like the most accurate driver on the PGA Tour. He never misses fairways. When he does, he misses by like 2 feet, and he is starting to put together some really, really good ball striking weeks. Finished runner-up at the ISCO. Finished 41st at the Barracuda. That's all I'm looking for, Paul. I'm just looking for like a little T39 plus 210. No problems here. So
You want to cut it that close?
I mean,
T39.
listen, I'll take it. A win's a win. I don't want to have to sweat it, but I will if I need to. Top 40 plus 210 for Paul Peterson. Greg, you have a top 20 here. Who is it, please?
It is the defending champion, Johnny Vegas. Now, Johnny Vegas, the defending champion, for a top 20 at plus 260. I'm like, that number is just too long. Okay, he has finished at this event, tied second and win the last 2 years. He's only played here 3 times. First time he missed the cut. He clearly learned something about how to play the golf course. He's gained at least 2 strokes putting the last 2 trips here. And he's been putting terribly on the PGA Tour. But here's the thing. He was putting terribly on the PGA Tour the last 2 years as well before finishing second and first. So I think there's something to this golf course. I'm looking at his stats coming into this week compared to where they were last year. And he was a little better off the tee last year. He's 38th strokes gain off the tee this year. He was 10th last year entering this event. 69th approaching the green. But, you know, he hits a lot of greens. He's a very long hitter. And I think he understands around here how to club down and avoid the water. And I think that's something you'll see again this week. So I'm just thinking this price is too long not to take advantage of. I'm not confident in a win, but I think he'll play really well here at the 3M this week.
He's on my list of favorite golf swings on the PGA Tour. Love watching that guy hit golf balls.
He's on your underrated flusher list as well.
No, well, he's rated. Yeah, but no, I love the golf swing. Golly, he hits it solidly.
Vegas top 20, Paul Peterson top 40, Jacob Bridgman top 40. Speaking of guys that struggle with the putter, at least historically, I'm going to jump in here because that's a good segue to Emiliano Grillo, who has 5 venues, 5 spots on the PGA Tour where he has played at least 5 times, and he is a positive putter. Of course, one of them is TPC Twin Cities. And of course, this is the best putting course for Emiliano Grillo on the entire circuit. Gains about a half a stroke putting per round, which is plenty good for me. And then I echo the sentiments of Mark in regards to Rico Hoey. Just love the game. He's been contending a lot. He's been playing great golf. 50 and 55 to 1 for those two feels like a 3M open with not a lot of win equity at the top of the board. So I'm going to go down the board a little bit. Mark, 2 golfers that are also not necessarily at the top of the board, 28 to 1 and 40 to 1. Who did you find for your outrights this week?
Well, first off, love Emiliano Grillo. He's one of my favorite golf swings as well. He cost me $5 last week, so I'm not a big fan right now. But I'm kind of a fan of how Tony Finau has suddenly looked like he's turned things around a little bit. He was back and forth between putter grips and stuff and looked like kind of the shine had worn off, but played solidly at Port Rush, where he's played well before. And maybe this is a little biased because I was on the call when he won at 3M the last time. But man, that golf course seems to fit him. But just the way he drives it, and he seems to read the greens very well. So I'm going with Finau to kind of build on the performance he showed last week and coming back to a place where he's won before. And then speaking of former success around here, but for a really good finish by whoever it was, Vegas last year. Max Grazerman could have won this thing. I'm looking for him to turn it around because it was either this week or next week where I'm really high on Max. And so I decided to go this week. He's long. He's got a lot of swagger. He's had a good season. So I'm going with Finau and Max as my outrights. Yeah,
so Max was runner-up here last year, and then when he gets to the Wyndham, that is where the Kuchar thing happened, where Max had, what was it, 5-shot lead on the back 9? So, I mean, it was big.
No, he hit the flagstick on 13, Max birdie, and he was leading by 4, I think it was.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Didn't he hole it?
Yes, he holed it. You're right. He holed it.
Yeah.
I remember, hit the flagstick, went in. and I was in front with Aaron Rye. And on 14, Rye hits it in the left fairway bunker, which is impossible from there. And he hits this 7-wood out there that was one of my best shots I saw of the year in the middle of the green. Makes par, then birdie, and made another one coming in. And he posts. All the while, though, we get there on 14T, and Max drills one into the houses.
Mm-hmm.
And then hits another into the rough and couldn't get it to the green, and hit on the green 3-putt. Max triple, I think it was, or something, didn't he? Or maybe 8.
It was. I'll look, but it was a bit. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was a big number.
He drove it way right, hit the cart path. It was unfortunate. Off the cart path, out of bounds in the houses. Next one in the rough. Couldn't get to the green. Hit on the green 3 putts. Don't know what that adds up to. And it just came apart at the seams. And Aaron Rye ended up winning. Was that 2 years ago?
Last year.
No, that was last year. Yeah, that got lost in that Matt Kuchar came back the next day.
Yeah, no, yeah. Everyone was done, and Kuchar came back to finish 18.
Correct. Yep. It took him about 4 minutes or whatever it ended up being. Yeah, so Grazerman made so he eagled, hole out eagle on 13. 8, quad 8 on 14. Birdies 15. You think, okay, nice bounce back. Steady the ship. Double 16. And that was a 4-putt. That was 4 jacks on 16.
I always do that after making hole out eagle. I always make triple on the next hole.
I always 4-putt after going 2, 8, 4.
And you know what? The final day hole location on 16 is always up on the top tier. And the rule on Donald Ross courses is you don't hit the ball past the hole or hole high, because you've either got a very sweeping putt from left to right or right to left, depending on what side of the hole you're on, or behind it, you're putting downhill, down grain. And he hits it over the flag, if memory serves, on 16, gives the first one a little too much gas, and then whacks it a good 10, 15 by, and then 3 putts from there. It was silly. Missed like a 4-footer from above the hole for the bogey.
Maxi. All right, well, this is a new opportunity for him. Maybe this week and next week will go a little bit different for him. So that is, I'm sorry, Greg. I almost moved us right along, but we are not ready for that yet, because we need your 2 outright winners this week.
Yes, first and foremost, Cameron Champ, winner here in the past, who has been playing really good golf. You may not have noticed. He did miss the cut last week at the Barracuda, but before that, 4 straight events on the PGA Tour. This guy's playing Korn Ferry Tour golf this year. 4 straight events on the PGA Tour where he gained strokes in every single category, except in the Rocket Classic, he lost 0.8 strokes around the green. Everything else he gained for 4 straight weeks. I think that's a pretty good sign of good play, a good indicator for success. And now you come back to a golf course you've had great success on. I think Cameron Champ has control over his golf ball right now, and we know what kind of skill set he has. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. I don't necessarily trust it. Could miss the cut, but if he gets things going again, I do believe there's a lot of win equity here. So I like him at 50-1. And then along similar lines, Jake Knapp, who is at 35-1. Jake Knapp has been playing some pretty good golf. I like what he's done. He played well at the Scottish Open. He didn't get into the Open, but 3 straight top 25 finishes, and it tied 27th at the Canadian Open before that. Been driving it really well across those 3 events. Been putting really well across those 3 events. And I was thinking about courses where he plays really well. And there are 2 that are surprising. One is the Cognizant Classic. One is TPC Sawgrass. Mexico Rocket Classic, those make a lot of sense for Jake Knapp, but he also plays really well with water close, danger close, as they say. He seems to handle those really well. This is another one of those. I think it could be a good setup for Jake Knapp.
35-1 for Jake Knapp, 50-1 for Cam Champ, 40 for Finau, 28 for Grazerman, 50 for Grillo, 55 for Rico Hoey. And that concludes the grid for the week. We're not done, but we are going to pause and say, Mark, it's been a pleasure. Any final thoughts before we get you out of here?
No, let's get to Minneapolis. Come on now.
Safe travels.
Yeah,
We're looking forward to seeing you there, hearing you there, and have a great day. Good luck.
You boys take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
See you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Mark Immelman, everybody. Greg and I will take it the rest of the way. We've got a little bit of fantasy work to do. Just an opportunity for us to name some more names. So let us transition to that now. We go golfer of the week. Then we look at the DraftKings board. We find a name or two from the 9K range, the 8s, the 7s, the 6s, just to point out and continue the conversation with. Now, Greg, your golfer of the week is a name that we have already heard, which I appreciate. You are putting your money where your mouth is. You like a guy. He's going to be your golfer of the week. He's also going to find a way to get onto your betting card. So please tell us who the golfer of the week is.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a hard time with this one because there are a number of guys that I like but don't necessarily love. And I'm thinking that Jake Knapp's playing really good golf right now. He is my golfer of the week. Only one start here, and he withdrew. That was in 2024, last year. So I'm not sure what was going on with him last week, but I believe that this is a great setup for him. I think he fits the mold of the Johnny Vegases and the Cam Champs and the Matt Wolfs and the Tony Finau's. Long, but has that ability, has shots to get the ball in play. On your site, rickrungood.com, you have the new radar feature. And there's a shot Jake Knapp loves, which is the low fade.
I was going to say, I will bet $1 million it's the low fade.
Yes. He loves that shot. And for a guy that can hit it 150 feet in the air, if he wants to, he knows how to get the ball in play. And I think that's why you see success at the Cognizant Classic, where, yes, he shoots 59, but it's a T6 finish and a T12 at the Players as well. And played well at the Players last year as well. So I think there's a lot of good things, or maybe it was Cognizant the year before. But anyway, you understand my point here. Long hitter who can get the ball in play. That's the recipe at the 3M Open. And that's why Jake Knapp's my golfer of the week.
I'm sharing my tab, so I don't know. I can't scroll to the right because I'm sharing, but you can see it on the right-hand side of the screen. That is the low fade that Jake Knapp likes to fire out there. He likes to keep it low in general, Greg. He does not hit the ball higher than knee high to a grasshopper.
No, but he can. That's the craziest part about it. He just doesn't. And I mean, I remember being at the Travelers and watching, they have this board, like with some stats on the range. They got like the TrackMan range or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's the longest player and the highest apex of any shot hit of the day. And he probably had the lowest apex shot of the day too, but he knows how to play shots. So I'm a huge fan of his game. And it also, Rick, it doesn't hurt. I don't think it's a bad thing when you gain 10 strokes putting in your last start.
It's not going to happen again, but it is definitely a confidence thing.
Yeah. Right. It's not going to happen again, but I don't think it needs to.
No, it doesn't. And the size of the cup probably looks like a 5-gallon bucket to him right now.
I don't see the downside there.
Okay, fair. Let's get into some 9K golfers here. And I kind of want to start with Max Grazerman, Greg, because I find him to be incredibly fascinating. It has not been as good recently, but the two missed cuts are the two overseas events. Like, I don't care about that at all.
It's very easy. I have a very easy time to look past that. It's like, oh, okay, well, he doesn't like Scotland. Like he doesn't play. Links golf isn't for him. And maybe that's not true, but it's just so different that I think there's a very real possibility of a bounce back. I haven't seen any ownership, but I wouldn't be surprised if back-to-back missed cuts push people away from Max Grazerman, which I like. I'm certainly willing to go back to it. I think this guy has something going on in a positive way with his golf swing and is one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. I have a hard time not clicking this name.
He also did not play that poorly over there. Yes, he missed both cuts, but like the Scottish Open, right on the number. And he played really well on Friday at the Open after a really bad Thursday. So it's like, it's not the end of the world.
No.
Also on your list is Sam Burns, who is the most expensive golfer on DraftKings this week, but you are not afraid to spend up here.
$10,500 doesn't feel like spending up in the world we're living in now, thanks to Mr. Scheffler. I'm used to spending $14,000 on the highest priced player. This is like a mid-range play. I really just think that Sam Burns is the best player in this field. I think Chris Gotterup, who's another 10K guy, is probably gassed, and understandably so. So I give a little edge to Sam Burns there. He, like Grazerman, wasn't great in Scotland, T45, T47 on the two links courses, but he leads the PGA Tour in strokes gained putting. He's been driving the ball great. He got himself into contention just 3 starts ago, back-to-back times. I think what we're seeing with Sam Burns is a player who will be motivated on the outside looking in for the Ryder Cup, best player in this field, real opportunity to step up and take home a trophy.
So we've got Burns, we've got Grazerman. I will admit, I am fascinated by the final name here, which is Ricky Fowler. I need to hear this. Let's talk about Ricky.
Well, last 2 weeks, which is the John Deere, 2 very different types of golf. John Deere Classic, the Open Championship, we got a T18 and a T14. He missed the cut at the Rocket, but he also finished tied 16th at the Charles Schwab, tied 7th at the Memorial. So 4 out of the last 6 weeks, you've had a T18 or better. I think that's a really good sign. You also, in the last 2 weeks, he's almost done that thing where he gained strokes all the way across the board.
I know. Yeah.
Lost 0.36 on approach at the Open. Not necessarily indicative of how his iron play is. There's a lot of different ways to kind of analyze statistics from Links Golf, but I think things are really trending in the right direction. Now, this is a venue he's played twice, hasn't necessarily been great, T34, T38. But I think that Ricky's really feeling confident with his golf swing. I think he's feeling really confident with his game. So I'm willing to take a chance on it. It's probably more of I think there's a fairly high floor here, even though he missed the cut just 3 starts ago. I think there's a reasonably high floor and a high ceiling as well.
I'm not particularly a Ricky guy, but I will tell you that his stat profile is better than I thought it was. So
yeah, it doesn't feel like a great deal, which I understand.
Nothing feels like a great deal though.
8,500 would be a great deal on Ricky.
Well, speaking of 8,500, you professional, that is the cost of your next golfer, whose name is Michael Thor Bjornsson. We're going back to the kid.
Back to the kid. I thought the fact that he was a favorite at the John Deere Classic was a little extreme, but it doesn't mean I don't like what I'm seeing out of this stat profile. Right? We're looking at every event since. We're talking March, right? The Houston Open. Yeah. He's gained strokes off the tee in a significant way, and he at the ISCO he gained over 7 strokes off the tee. Right? That fits the bill of at least 4 of the 6 winners here. So I love that. I think he's shown the ability to spike with his iron play as well. And the short, it's the way that he drives it, he could position himself to go hit 60 greens, where his short game doesn't matter this week. I love what we're seeing tee to green out of him. It's been a little volatile with the putting, and I think 8,500 is a fair price on a guy that could snap off a big win.
Also in the 8K range is Jake Knapp, who's on your list. He's the golfer of the week. He's on your outright card, so we'll move along there. The 7K range also has a couple of names we've talked about in Cam Champ and Johnny Vegas, but I'm really excited to talk about this one, Greg. Doug Gim, who wears a bucket hat in his photo, who's been playing a lot better golf as of late, who only cost $7,300 this week. Talk to me about Gim here.
Yeah, when we get into these kind of value plays, right? I'm looking for somebody who's not gonna continuously hit it in the water. I don't want to wake up and see.
Some of them will. Some of them will.
I know. And I'm confident in where Doug Gim is. 3 straight top 31 finishes. That's not really a great number, but 2 of them are top 20s, which I really like. The ball striking, which he's known for, seems to be coming back. Last 2 weeks he's had really good ball striking performances, and it's gone on for quite some time with his iron play. You're talking about in measured events, 7 of his last 8 events, he's beat the field approaching the green. Similar number off the tee as well. And we've had spotty putting. That's what we get with Doug Gim. That's also what we've had out of winners here. The winners here have not been good putters. They've just putted well that week. And maybe we get that out of Doug Gim here.
Doug Gim is 70-1. I'll probably bet that. And if he wins, I'll buy 10 of these bucket hats and give them away.
Yeah, all right, deal.
Free roll or the bucket hats. If Doug Gim wins, I'll buy 10 of those navy blue Nike bucket hats and we'll give them away to the second cut peeps.
Done.
Just
deal.
A free roll.
Awesome.
Absolute deal. The other guy on your list here is also trying to get his game in order at a very critical time of the season, because it has not been a great campaign for Beau Hossler, but we're starting to see a little bit of a rebound.
Okay, last 3 events. T11 at the John Deere, T14 at the ISCO, T4 at the Barracuda. I know that these are not the strongest fields in golf, but it's definitely a sign of really solid play. 2 of those events, we measured strokes gained statistics, and in both of them, he gained strokes across the board. I'm drawn to this like a fly to a light. I can't stay away from it. And even though the Barracuda wasn't measured, he finished tied 4th. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a 3rd week where his game was extremely well-rounded. So you're also talking about he's every cut since the PGA Championship he's made. I think there's some confidence brewing for Beau Hossler. Time of year where you start to see him pop up a little bit. He has missed some cuts here, but his best finish is a T13 in 2023 as well.
I mean, you can just see, when he lost the driver, he lost the game. The finishing positions went with it, and that's pretty clear. And now he's starting to get that back, and everything is starting to rebound as well. So it's pretty easy to see the line that Beau is drawing right now.
Yeah. And I like that when there's a reason why things are improving or, returning to form, it makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm very comfortable given the click.
Given the click. And that's what we're going to do in the 6K range. And we would not go anywhere else, Greg, because we will whisper this, because you are the David Skins whisperer.
I put it in the outline in all caps.
Yeah, you did, which is the opposite of what you should have done.
Yes, but it is a whisper. T4, T8 in his last 2 starts.
Which, by the way, the amount of people that will realize that, very low. They're both alternate field events. Very low will people realize that he's gone back-to-back top 8 finishes.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty cool. Also, T9 at the Canadian Open. So you're talking about 3 top 10s in his last 5 starts, and he's 6,700 in a field where it's very slim. The $6,000 range is very slim, very limited options. There are a few, but you're going to be taking a risk somewhere. So I'm very comfortable with David Skins. I like his skill set. He contended at the Cognizant Classic, which there are some similar things you need. I know the grass type is different. Environment is different, but you need to understand how to keep the ball out of trouble, and David Skins does.
Keep it out of trouble, keep it dry, give yourself a bunch of chances. Probably very few guys in this range with the top 10 upside that David Skins has. And let's be clear, this is not like a murderer's row field. It's going to be a pretty weak field, so no worries about those finishes. Quote, only coming in opposite field events, like you mentioned, Greg, the Canadian Open as well. This one I'm interested in. Ben Coles, who had a streak of 3 consecutive cuts made, ended with a WD at the Barracuda. You do not seem concerned about that WD.
It's a risk. I am concerned. I don't know why he withdrew, but it seems like he's cleared to play at this point, and I'm clearing him a go. I'm hoping this was a bad scap like Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
A bad night's sleep kind of thing. And you get that worked out, and all of a sudden, boom, you're back in action. Look at what he's did with his iron play.
So good.
Before the WD, he gained strokes on approach in 4 straight, and 3 of them were significant, like nearly 7 strokes. All 4 were above 3 strokes to the field. I think that's a really good sign. So I love what I saw there. The putting has been a disaster, but even losing strokes putting, he still finished tied 8th in one of those events. And last year he finished tied 24th here at the 3M Open as well. Yeah,
it's good enough for me. We're $6,600 in a field where, Sam Burns and Maverick McNeely are the favorites. So to see a guy flushing it like that certainly has my attention. I'm out of names, Greg. Anything else before we get out of town and tell people that we'll see him on Friday?
I'll stay dry this week. I don't know if it's going to rain in Minnesota. All I'm really saying is don't jump in the lake looking for a golf ball.
I was like, stay dry.
Keep your golf ball dry this week. And if you do that, you're going to see a lot of birdies. So I can't wait.
Keep it dry, make birdies. Seems easy enough. I'm sure it'll go exactly as planned. We'll be back on Friday, and we'll be back on Sunday. And then we'll do it all again for the Wyndham Championship. But for now, big thanks. Producer Mina, all the hard work behind the scenes. That's Greg DuCharme. I'm Rick Gehman. This is The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.